Hey guys, my name is Abby and welcome to my booktube channel. So, as you can see by the title, today I'm going to be declaring my Book Junkie Trials TBR. I have already declared my Mage Path, which is what I am. If you don't know what the Book Junkie Trials is, it started 2 days ago, but I'll probably be uploading this later on in the month. So the Book Junkie Trials started on the 1st of July for everyone else, but Mages started on the 28th. So I have been doing this for 5 days already because it is currently the 2nd of July. I will probably be uploading this on Friday, which will be the 5th of July. So it would already have been happening for everyone else for 5 days and I'd already be doing it for a week. So I'm just going to get straight into it and I'm going to tell you what I'll be reading, for what prompts and where I'll be reading it for. So the first book I have been reading for the Book Junkie Trials is A Clash of Kings by George R.R. Martin. This fills the prompt for Orc Grove, which is a book that is gruesome, gory or gritty. And obviously Game of Thrones is very gory. If you've seen the show or if you've read the books then you'll know. And I am currently almost 300 pages through and this is about an 800 page book, so I'm getting there and I'm listening to it on audiobook, so hopefully I can listen to a bit more today and get it finished very, very soon. The next book I'll be reading is Escape from Shangri-La by Michael Morpurgo, and this is for Old Pirate Grove, which takes part on the sea, or at least in part it's on the sea. So basically as long as there's a boat and they're on the sea at some point, then it counts. And as you can see from the picture, I am assuming that this is on the sea at some point, and it's really short, which is great for a readathon. I love reading Michael Morpurgo books for readathons. The next book I have also already started. Although you're supposed to read them in order, I won't be finishing this before Game of Thrones. I'm desperately trying not to. So because it is obviously an audiobook, so I want to have an audiobook and a physical read at the same time. So the next book I will be reading is Nevermore, The Trials of Morrigan Crow. I've been calling him Morrigan in my head. I'm only 17 pages in, so it's not too far, but I am going to the beach tomorrow, so hopefully I'll get some more reading in. And this is for Glimmer, which is a beautiful or colourful cover. And as you can see, very beautiful and also very colourful. This is a middle grade. This should be so easy to get through. So far, I've been really enjoying it. The only reason I've only got 17 pages through is because my sister got bored because we was at the park and we were reading. And she got bored because she doesn't like to read, so we had to leave. The next book I will be reading for my Mage Path is Tess of the Road by Rachel Hartman. And this is for the Dragonic Isles, which features a dragon. That's the only thing it requires. And as you can see, there's a dragon on the front, and I'm pretty sure there's mare dragons, or like were-dragons, or half-breed dragons, I don't know. So this is quite a chunker, but because I had those extra days, that's why I thought I could get through this one. And finally, the last book for the Mage Path is The Bookie Grail, which is Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I don't have that book, so I'm listening to it on audiobook through my library, but I think I got the wrong one, so I might have to try and find it in somewhere. I'm going to desperately look later, but we'll see. So yeah, those are the only 5 books I am required to read to complete the Bookie Trials, but obviously I'm going to try and go through them all. If you complete all the others, then you get special things next year. So I'm really going to try and complete them all. So, the next prompt is to reread a favourite. And I chose Heartstopper, and that is for The Crimson Peaks. And this is a graphic novel. The first time I read it, it took me an hour. I am planning on reading the second one in the Bookie Trials, but it doesn't come out till the 11th of July, and I have pre-ordered it, so I'm really excited for that. So I'm going to reread this in preparation for that one, but it is really short as well, which is why I thought it would be really good for the readathon. The next book I will be reading is Glass Sword by Victoria Aveyard, which is the second in the Red Queen series, and this is for the Queendom Stone. If you're wondering why I'm looking inside, I have these little cards in every single one of them to tell me what prompts they're for, so that I know which one I'm reading. These, I don't think I mentioned, you don't have to read these in order, so I can read whichever ones I want. I planned to read this in June, and I had a really, really bad reading month in June, hence no June wrap up because I read 3 books. It would have been a bit of a short video. So, I'm going to plan on reading this one. I was going to add King's Cage, I think is the third one, if I finish this one in June, but I didn't, so we're going to do Glass Sword. The next book I plan to read is The Inquisition by Taran Matharu. This is a similar thing to Glass Sword. I planned to read it in June, read 3 books in June, so it was a bit of a disaster. And this is for Forgotten Forest, which is to read a sequel. And this is the second in the Summoner series, and I read The Novice ages ago, and I really enjoyed it. And then I got my hands on these so quickly and then didn't read them. It was very strange. So I'm really excited to dive back into this world. I won't be telling you what any of these are about because this video will be a million years long if I do that. But if you need to know anything about the books, there's always Goodreads. The next book I plan to read is Orange, which is actually a manga by, I don't know how to say that name, and I know I will butcher it if I do. So this is for The Weeping Falls. Oh god. And the prompt is a book that will make you cry. And this book is about suicide. So I thought it would make me cry, which I knew would probably make me cry because I'm quite an easy crier, as you would have seen in my mid-year freak out. But Becca, who is the main mage woman in this challenge, she read this in June and said she was bawling her eyes out. So I'm not excited, but I'm expecting that this will fit that prompt quite well because it's probably going to make me cry. The next prompt is for Dwarf Mount, which is the prompt that I will be reading Heartstopper Volume 2 for, even though it's kind of more than a hint of romance, but we don't know technically, because the first one finished on a bit of a rocky note, so maybe there will only be a hint of romance, but I'm kind of cheating on that one, but it does have romance in it, so I'm going to count it. Obviously you don't have it with me because it comes out on July 11th, which I'm so excited for, but yeah. Gonna get to that hopefully during this readathon. I think I will because it's a short one, so even if it's at the very end of the month and I just slip it in to try and get another prompt, then I'll probably be getting to it. The next place I will be going to is Apothecary Towers, I think that's how you say it, which is to choose a book by random, and I got Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogiston. I don't know how to say that. I'm really bad with author names, as you've probably realised by now. But basically what I did, I have my TBR shelf and I put them in stacks like this, so they're all stacked up because there's not enough space. So I just went through the stacks, used a number generator and then did that stack again, and then I got this one. I landed on this one, which I'm really excited about because I actually wanted to read this really bad. I haven't read An Enchantment of Ravens, but I believe they're not connected. And if they are, then I'm going to be really mad. But I really don't think they are. So the next book I will be reading is for The Great Library, which is a book that's been on your TBR forever. I feel like every readathon has that prompt at least. So I will be reading A Game of Thrones graphic novel number 4 by George R.R. Martin, but I'm pretty sure it's not written by them. Oh yeah, adapted by Daniel Abraham and art by Tommy Patterson. I read the first 2 ages ago and then I got started on the 3rd one and kind of gave up. So this one has been on my TBR for ages. I will be reading the 3rd one in this readathon, but I will be starting from the beginning again, so it's not technically cheating, but just the way that the prompts came out, this is the one I chose for this one. So because obviously you don't have to read these ones in order, so it won't be a problem. The next place I will be going is The Drowning Deep, which prompt for that is rich world building. So I chose Obsidio by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, which is the 3rd book in the Illuminae files. I believe this does have rich world building because obviously it's in space, and I guess it's not technically a world then, but it's like so many years in the future, and they really put you in that kind of situation, which I thought was kind of what world building is for me anyway. So yeah, and it's really long. It's like 600 pages, but it's technically not because it's not all like just blocks of text, so hopefully this one will be really quick to get through. The next prompt is The Elven Guard, which is to read a book with military or politics in it at some point. So I chose A Game of Thrones Volume 3 because obviously Game of Thrones has a lot of politics and a lot of war, and I don't know if this volume technically has a war in it. Oh, ow. It technically has a war in it, but I think every chapter of Game of Thrones has a war in it at some point, so I am expecting there to be a war in this at least. a little bit. And obviously, graphic novel, it'll be really quick. The next place is the Hollow Isles, which is to read a horror book. And I don't actually read horror that much, apparently. And I have a lot of Stephen King books, as you can see, and I've never read a single one of them. So I'm going to try and read Cell by Stephen King, because I have seen the film, so I'm kind of hoping that it will be quite an easy transition into Stephen King, because obviously I've seen the film, so I kind of know what's supposed to be happening. And it is a small paperback, so it looks really tiny, but I think it's actually going to be really big. But I think this would be quite good for like a beach read, because it's tiny, it'll fit in your bag really easily. So yeah, we'll see about that one. But I'm not too convinced I'm going to get to this one, but I'm really trying to get to all of them, so we'll see. The second to last book is The Empty Barrel Inn, which is an indulgent read. And this may make you laugh, but I really want to read Thing by David Walliams, because it says an indulgent read, and this is a kid's book, like an actual kid's book, like a really childish book. But I do quite like these books sometimes, and obviously I don't want to prioritise this over, say, like Kingdom of Ash and stuff like that. So an indulgent read for me means that like I can kind of read it and not feel guilty about it. So yeah, we'll see. And because it's a kid's book, it'll be really short. There's lots of pictures, the writing's really... and it came with this cool bookmark, and I love it so much. So yeah, that's the plan anyway, so I'm hoping that will be quite a fast read, and obviously that's what you need in readathons. I feel like once I say something, I repeat it for every single book, so most of these will be fast reads, hence why I picked them. And the last place I have to go is to The Giant Squid, which is an intimidating read. And I chose The 5 People You Meet in Heaven by Mitch Albom, and my flatmate actually recommended this to me, and I don't really know what it's about, but it sounds quite, okay, I guess kind of realistic, because obviously it's, I mean it's heaven. I don't really know. I think it might be an adult read, and I don't read these books very often, but it is quite short, and my flatmate really liked it, and I trust her, so I'm going to hope to try and get to this in this readathon, but we'll see. And obviously this is quite intimidating, so that's why I picked it. So, for the Magi, you have to pick one book on your Magi path that is intimidating or out of your comfort zone. So the one I chose for that, because I forgot to mention it, because the rules are at the end of my bullet journal, I don't know why. It is A Clash of Kings. Because I have read A Game of Thrones, but I wouldn't have read it if it wasn't for the TV show, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of out of my comfort zone, because it is so high fantasy and so like intense that I don't really read those books very often. I also don't read adult that much. Like I've read Throne of Glass, which is obviously young adult, so it doesn't really count like that. So that's why I picked that one. It's also like 800 pages for a readathon, which is obviously out of my comfort zone. That's why I picked that one. But obviously we got a 3-day start, so that's kind of why I went for that one, because I could get it done in time and have it not affect the rest of my reads. So yeah, that's the end of this video. I hope you're joining in on the Book Junkie trials, and I'm really trying to vlog, but I just keep forgetting to bring my camera everywhere interesting, so it's just always in my room. But we're trying. Please tell me what team you're on and leave your Twitter so I can follow you down below. And yeah, I hope everyone does well, and I'll see you in the next one.